draft here. We are in the last week of round 2 before we do make it into Road to MSI next week on the weekend. So pretty exciting stuff as we ramp up towards the MSI.
Definitely so. And interested to see what the draft priorities are on this one. Right now, just getting kind of the textbook standard bans. The Karma coming through, which we start to see get banned a little bit less and less. Rumble also, another pick that has been insanely high ban priority, but then starting to drift off a little bit in recent weeks. And it'll be the Lucian denied from Diablo, which I think is honestly pretty good considering his proficiency with that champion. There's Cassio open and available, who I think is a standout, and then will be instantly slammed there by Scout. Kind of puts a halt on any prospects of a Rise, for example. But the Bard will be picked up by Peter, and then instantly going for the Lee Sin for Pioshik. So in my mind, they'd want to pair that up with something with, you know, good point-and-click CC. We often see Rise Lee Sin, but not into Cassiopeia. But we do see Annie Lee Sin, which is similarly not great into Cassiopeia, but probably going to fare a little better. And Longshim, I think the Ezreal's not much of a surprise, but Ezreal Nico making a resurgence. Bot lane duo that has kind of fallen off in terms of priority. DN Supers will go for the Kate Bard. Bot lane that has been seeing a good amount of priority recently. So I think overall, I'm a bit surprised that Longshim instantly slammed the Ezreal Nico, but the Cassio is a pretty mega pick, and you get to ban things here to try and deny anything you think might be a cause for concern. We've seen Anivia played into the Cassiopeia to decent success, so we'll see if they look to take that away, or they focus a bit more on what pairs with the Lee Sin well.
Yeah, pretty interesting draft so far, very fast. It does feel like both these teams had a certain idea in mind and they just kind of locked them in real quick. As we're getting a lot of these jungles ban, the Vi and Nocturne taken away from Sponge. I really like the Lee Sin for Pioshik. It's one of the picks he's looked good on. Takes it away from Sponge as well, who has looked great on this pick. And it's just strong nowadays as well.
This pick seems really good here because you already have Engage from the Nico. But like a Poppy for Nongshim would do really well into Lee Sin, really well into the Bard. The grounding of playing Lee Sin into Cassiopeia Poppy would be an absolute nightmare. So I wonder if Nongshim go the same way. They did ban that Addy in the end. Also the Akali, we had a game recently where Faker absolutely popped off on the Akali into the Cassiopeia matchup. So not letting that one happen.
What's with all the giggling here? Closer. Thinking about the LeBlanc.
No, I
will lock it.
I think one of the things that can really put a hamper on Cassiopeia is outranging her, playing from a distance. And LeBlanc, although you have to move into distance, you can snap back super quickly before she can throw anything out. And can play for poke quite effectively with it. Also has the change to set up the Lee Sin, not as reliable as some of the champs, but pretty well in that regard. We then get the Pantheon coming through for Sponge, and the Scion as well, a pick that has been working extremely well in the LCK. And so far, DN Supers don't have a ton of damage to cut through a Scion. Caitlyn's going to need to scale up a decent amount. They go for the Zehen, another pick that has not seen a ton of prior recently, but does thrive into melee champions. Will do well into the Scion, will do okay to the Pantheon as well. Cassiopeia, not so much. Ezreal, not so much either. And I think Nongshim, the only thing that seems a little bit less common recently is the Nico. I think everything else seems pretty par for the course. Scion, Cassiopeia, really strong solo lanes. DN Supers, the bot and jungle, I feel like is something we'd expect to see, but the LeBlanc, Zehen, definitely not the typical picks we'd get in a game 1, especially.
I think it's pretty interesting to see. We've seen a lot of stuff like Ambessa or Gwen, or these picks that are kind of bruisery that can do well into a tank. I haven't seen a whole lot of Zahan into Scion, but you know, Zion hasn't been a huge pick outside of, you know, guys like Perfect who really like to go back to it time and time again.
I would have thought the Ambessa would have done well in this situation. We've seen it do well into the Scion matchup, and when you land some CC, which his team comp has a decent amount of, can obviously follow up with that ult. That's one thing with the changes to the Ambessa. You're more reliant on your team having CC to set up the ult because it does take longer, which is pretty strong right now. But not going to see it in this game. I think Nongshim pretty happy with their composition. DNS, got to see what these solo laners can do.
Yep, definitely looking for them to step it up here today and break the loss streak as we head into game 1. Here we go, game number 1. So we get so many cheers from the audience, especially when DNS are playing, that they're just like, you can do it, guys! You got this!
I mean, that's the thing. I say this a lot, but later today we have the Telecom War, 2 teams on the top end of the table. It's always a banger. Of course, we're looking forward to it. But this matchup, these teams have 5 series wins between them.
Yeah.
They are desperate for a win. They are dying for a win.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes desperation makes the best League of Legends ops.
I mean, that's the thing, is that between KT and T1, I know there's stakes still for seeding at the top of the table, but they win every week. These teams need this.
They never win. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of true. I think Rise Group baby is real. Even the match yesterday, man, going 6 games on the entire day. Started off with Gen G HLE. It was a banger, especially that game number 1. And then the real treat. Team DRX up against BNK VRX, going 3 games. Really fun stuff. And,
I mean, this is a preview for
yeah.
the Rise Group, which was an absolute banger last year. I know there was some fans who are like, yeah, I only really focused on Legend Group games. What a mistake. Missing out on peak.
Yeah.
I think, if we're being honest.
It's definitely a different... It's a different feel.
You know, there's someone out there. There will have been some person who only watched Rise Group games.
Yeah.
Out of all the LCK viewers, there will have been at least one who only watched the Rise Group games.
There's 5 teams in Rise Group, you know. Even if you're a fan of like D+ Kia and you only watch their games, they were in Rise Group last year, so it's possible that you only watch those games if you're just following your team. But the best kind of fan is one that isn't a fan of any specific team, just of Rise Group.
I mean, the real best fan is the one who watches everything.
True. Yeah, I mean, that's actually true. As Zahan is on a 7-game winning streak, 5 of those games were perfect. 2 of them were casting. Generally, when we get those CGs, you know, those little lower thirds that pop up with the win rates, you got like a plethora, like a lot of different players that are there. But for Zahan, it's not quite the same.
I think also the fact that it's 5 wins for perfect, there was obviously that strong...
Okay, Lahens.
Not going to miss.
All right.
Trying to get the health bars low to set up this dive from the Pantheon. I wonder if they decide against it since they didn't succeed there. The big thing is that Dokdam and Pittis still have combat summoners. But notice Dokdam, despite that, still backs off. Still plays it safe, still expects the threat and doesn't go for it. Now, we'll see if Closer can find an angle here.
Scout just TP'd back to lane. The flash on in to make sure the chains link, and that should be first blood. Pyosik going to collect that one very nicely set up here by Closer and Pyosik.
Great play from Closer. By flashing in, you make sure that Scout can't do anything. You flash, you're still in tether range, and the least instead of follow. I just like the commitment. If you're going to go for a gank like that, you commit 100% and make sure it works. Don't give a second chance. It does mean that Scout still retains the flash, so it's going to be harder to pull this one off again. But it's just Closer really not giving much opportunity over to the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, and the flash also helps him hit the chains too. So what you said is right about, you know, making sure that even if Scout flashes away, he's not going to be out of tether range, but also just flashing into melee and landing those chains makes it even easier. I suppose there's a way that Scout could have flashed the chains, but hard to react to that.
It's so difficult. I feel it's so hard in that situation. And if you mess it up, you just lose your flash as well, and then Lee Sin's still there. And Punish now looking to challenge here alongside this minion. Who?
Yeah, what is this minion doing, and how did it clone itself?
Very suspicious.
Lahen's not...
Oh, it was Nico the whole time.
Yeah. Lahen's not hitting those roots, but it's okay. We do have the Aegis down. Pyosik is going to go in. Wants to skirmish here on the Lee Sin. Closer gets in, but I think Pyosik took a little bit too much damage. And you see that Nongshim are going to back away after the play.
There's a good amount of burst damage between DNS's jungle mid support trio, but if you don't connect everything onto a target, and there's a Cassiopeia the queen of sustained DPS in the mid lane, and you saw how Pyosik goes in and then just gets shredded down, could not commit heavily to that trade. So they end up backing away.
Bot lane's been somewhat calm. I feel like in a lot of our games, we're just watching bot lane and seeing what happens. Level 1, level 2, who's getting the edge, but...
Yeah, I think the fact that they didn't get that dive off earlier has really changed the bot lane dynamic, because even though we saw Docdown back away and play it safe, we didn't see much change in terms of the actual lane state. Bit of a CS advantage from Diablo, but not much else. Now they are looking for this Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, I mean, Close is going to be here first, but Sponge is able to land that smite, and now that's level 6. But now we got the stun here on a Diablo who's just dead. Had flash, not sure about his shift. Doesn't bother to use his barrier, but he just gets stunned and killed.
Yeah, I think assuming he had his arcane shift, could have gone over the wall to the right and would have been much safer. They'd already gotten the Scuttle. He was kind of just moving up there. We'll see a replay here. I think just focused on the top portion of that fight, not really thinking about the Bard, and just gets punished immediately, dies so quickly. So a good pickup from DNS, even though they didn't get the Scuttle. And that Scuttle has allowed Sponge to hit level 6, so Pyosik won't be far behind. But the threat of that Pantheon, having that ultimate where you can just assist in basically any lane when he's close enough, is a major threat now for DNS.
Yeah. DNS still have a pretty nice lead. Most of it is in mid, especially with Closer able to get that assist, and now the follow-up kill onto Diablo. And, you know, you get your LeBlanc head in this manner. Closer could definitely put on a lot of pressure. DNS, they've won early games before. It's kind of the same story as last year, where it's like they can win early games. In fact, they won a decent amount of them, but actually putting it together and winning team fights in the mid to late game just isn't a thing.
So many of their games, they just hit a point and things fall apart. It just feels really frustrating every time. I mean, I'm sure for the players, but just for kind of when you're watching, you're like, we know these players are capable of more. We know, we've seen them do it, and yet just struggling to replicate that same level of success. We'll see if they're able to pull it off in this game with a bit of an advantage early on. Something to note, still no Dragon taken in this game. So we'll see if either jungler starts to put some attention towards it. I think Nongshim having the bot lane prio on a bit of a better position, but maybe concerned about that the LeBlanc, moving down.
Yeah, I mean, the Lee Sin LeBlanc very strong right now, especially with the couple of kills they picked up. So maybe, even though the Nongshim have that pressure, a little bit scared of them at the moment. Shout out to Sponge, who, by the way, sometimes goes very over-aggressive and dies a lot in the early game. Has not died yet, so things are going well for him to begin with.
Has definitely been a mixed bag. I feel like you get these games where I'm really questioning just what he is doing, and then he'll have a pop-up game afterwards, and I'm like, oh, that's what you were going for. It's just you struggled to execute. Speaking of struggle to execute.
That's a Bard.
Yeah. Not the most convincing situation.
Yeah, I mean, Sponge was down there on the bottom side of the map, so obviously trying to set up the kill with him, especially because Peter doesn't have flash. But if he has a magical journey and you don't land a root, you're not going to get the kill.
Len's definitely trying to be proactive here. Oh, Scout might be in trouble. No, he's okay. But yeah, Sponge in their win against HLE went 9-1-11 against Kanavi, which was kind of crazy. But then went 2-9-9 the next game. I feel like he has continued to be that feast or famine player.
Yeah, things haven't really changed with him. At least at this point, he's neither, which is interesting. Hasn't really popped off yet. I mean, he is Pantheon, so maybe now that he's level 6, level 7, level 8, actually. Maybe he can make some plays with his ult. King gonna ult on in, speaking of which, as the Grim Deliverance does come through. Flash on him from Sponge, and there you go. Looking to start off the feast in the top lane.
Yeah, nice pickup there. Dudu was just kind of focused on the 1v1, was doing pretty well in terms of farm, but the health bar gets just a little bit too low. King goes for it, and the Grim Deliverance just isn't enough to get him away from the Pantheon. A nice fierce gang from Sponge. Both junglers picking up their Sundered Sky. Sundered Sky for Pyosik, not seeing the Eclipse, which we sometimes see. Nice trade there from Closer. You look at the vision in the river right now, the positive trade that just went on in the mid lane, a no TP from Scout, wave state good and bot. I think a dragon angle here for DNS to look for it, especially with Pantheon ult coming down. I just don't see any way they contest this right now, and Pyosik will start it up.
Yeah, it's kind of insane the vision control they have. And do you see Lahens and Diablo are trying to poke their heads in to the river.
This is pretty risky if they try and contest it. The fact that Sponge doesn't have flash, going to be hard to get in and get out again. And Scout no ultimate, also pretty costly. Looks like it will just be picked up.
Yeah. Sponge does come down here, but very smartly not going for the contest. Sponge is still thinking about it, though.
I feel like Pioshik was waiting to ward hop over to Peter there, and Peter just walked away. Like, nah, use a ward.
Yeah.
I've got places to be. A little bit fearful.
Peter got that one assist, that one setup on a Diablo, and he's like, well, now I'm kind of a big deal. I'm not going to be your ward. Diablo, nice dodge here, but still in a bit of trouble as he does not flash and will just die once again. Had a couple of teammates nearby. Nice little setup here by Pioshik and Peter.
This is part of the thing we're seeing this super high prio on the Lee Sin specifically from Pioshik, because even,
going in is Dudu. I don't think he's going to get the kill.
Even before Lee Sin got those changes to push him in the meta a bit more, Pioshik was still having great success on this pick. It was unfortunately not enough to get them a win, but he was doing well on it. It was being respected, it was being banned by teams, and you're kind of seeing now that slick kick that comes out here. And Diablo just a bit over-aggressive. Arcane shifts, dodges the Tempered Fate, but doesn't flash here. Pioshik had flash as well, but doesn't even need to commit it to make that play, which feels really good as a Lee Sin.
Yeah, and, Pioshik didn't have to flash to get the kill on the Scout. That one was kind of a done deal, so obviously didn't have to. But here I feel like at least Diablo could have tried to flash, and now he's 0-2. Feels a little bit slow at the beginning of the series.
I will say in this game specifically, Lee Sin flash is going to be really important when it comes to team fighting, because you're playing into a lot of CC that can give you problems, but also the miasma. If you go in and you're just ward hopping, safeguarding, very easy for Scout to throw down the miasma and shut you down, but the flash is so much snappier, harder to respond to. So having that up and available when you want to fight is very important.
Just a big vision ward down on the bottom side here. We do see Sponge moving with Lahens, maybe trying to challenge in mid. Closer is not in mid at the moment. And at least we've had a decent amount of action to start off this game. Sometimes when you get a couple of teams that are struggling, they decide to be more passive than not as to avoid mistakes. So I'm glad that we've seen a decent amount of action already.
Yep, do have some one-item spikes coming in. Closer has that Ludens. Hex Optics was just finished by Duckdam. Hidit even managed to pick up a Mikhail's as well. And then we have the Triforce for Diablo coming through. 2-item spike off in the big thing with the Ezreal, but still a nice spike to get there. Don't quite have the Rocket Belt yet for Lahens though, which is definitely helpful when trying to set up plays. Now Closer is hovering around here, but as LeBlanc isn't under too much threat. And we have Herald in about a minute. Both teams moving their bot lanes to mid. We'll likely see our next fight around that objective.
Yeah, it almost feels like they're trading ahead of time, trying to set up for this objective. You don't usually see this much preparation just for the Rift Herald, but feels like we're getting it this time as Peter, Duckdom, and Pioshik move in to reclaim this area of the map.
Yeah, DNS have done a good job of chunking out Diablo. Often the Ezreal's so good at contesting mid-prio, but he's being chunked out a good amount here, going to make it a bit more difficult. Peter just getting some damage on Lahens as well. And honestly, it's pretty positive. They've now got a good amount of control over the area. They're going to pick up Scuttle Crab as well. Kingan's just proxying, and Duda's going to do the same. Or not. Get a ward down.
He put a ward, and then I thought maybe he was going to go in there. We did have Sponge nearby, so...
Okay, Rocket Bell picked up by Lahens. And Pioshik's still just waiting for the Herald to respawn. So now it's up. He's going to start it up immediately. Will we get the contest from Longshim?
There's the vision. I mean, they put down the ward as the miasma. Not going to find too much value. Scout taking some damage, but not game-breaking damage. Diablo pushing in mid, and look at Kingan. He's already on the roam, and yeah, Pioshik just says, no, never mind.
Duckdown went for a reset to get a BF sword, which obviously is a nice pickup, but it meant they didn't have the mid-prio Pioshik has to back away from the Herald. Now, though, they're looking to move back in.
Yeah, trying to get that Son of Diablo, and that's going to be a 3-man knock up here from the side of Lehans. As in goes Pioshik, and now we got a LeBlanc behind Diablo, gets the kill, but Pioshik will pay his life for it, alongside of Peter, who does the same. But now he got a Zahen in the back line, and Kingen not able to lock him down. The passive already ready. They're going to force that flash away from Kingen.
I honestly think that fight could have gone so much better for DNS if Pioshik was able to get a kickoff before he went down. Still ends up being a 2-for-2 in this situation. Pioshik down for the longest time. So we'll see what objective priority we get after this, because the Dragon's now up and available as well. Mid tower taken by DNS is a pretty big prize, and with that, they'll go to a 2,000 gold lead on the fight. So you see in this situation, Diablo gets chunked out. This ult from the Hens, though, gets a lot of value, because otherwise, I think Diablo's just immediately dead. They get a lot of CC on a Pioshik. It's a nice Mikhails that came out from Peter. But here, you can see Pioshik wanted to go for a kick just at the end of the fight, isn't able to get it off in time before he dies. And even though we get this Zahen coming in, who forces Nongshim to back away, you just think if things went a little differently, that could have been a hugely winning fight for DNS.
Yeah, he actually got Petrifying Gauge there from the bush. So I think Pioshik, you know, that one we can forgive, because it's kind of hard to see that one coming, especially when you're playing Lee Sin up against Cassiopeia. Generally could feel pretty good against that champion, as it is Hextech Soul.
Yeah, it's DNS opting to go for the Herald on the reset, and Nongshim moving down, getting control of the Dragon area. And that's going to feel really good for Nongshim, and the fact it is a Hextech Soul. You'd feel really bad if you gave a second Dragon over to DNS, only to see it's the strongest Soul coming through. Now it's going to be...
What was that TP?
It's going to be a while away. I'm not sure.
He can just TP down the bot, and I guess trying to like help them get first turret blood, but they have the Rift Herald, so they're just going to drop it in top. Also, maybe he wanted to evacuate.
His turret's already dead.
Yeah.
For a while, so... I think we're just trying to make a proactive play on the bot side. He's like, I can't really stay around top, and they are looking for it here.
Now we do have Zayn in a little bit of trouble, but able to buffer that nicely.
Yeah, some good Mikhails value from Peter again. And the end result is you try to make a proactive play onto the Zahen. It didn't work out. And now DNS are just going to take a second tower here, an inner as well, and expand their gold lead even further. So DNS feeling pretty happy about how that play panned out. I feel like despite the fact DNS are this team who haven't won a single game in 30, their setups this game I think have been pretty good. They've had a better sort of view on how they want to get to objectives, how they want to set up for them, how they want to control them. Their early game so far has been solid, which does worry me because that's a positive thing, but I'm like, when are things going to change? Are they going to stay good forever?
Yeah, unfortunately, there has been a bit of a pattern with this team, right? They don't win every single early game, but they do win some of them with flying colors sometimes. And even that is not enough. So just got to hope that they can continue with their lead. I know that Goong did talk about how in scrims they're actually finding some decent results. Like, this team does pretty well when it comes to offline, or rather, I guess, online matches in scrims, but the second they go on the stage, everything changes, and they can't find their tempo.
I could genuinely see that from how they're playing, because they're doing a good job of getting the early leads, setting up for objectives. And a lot of scrims, there isn't the same stakes, so if the team who gets an early lead is likely just going to come out ahead. Whereas in this situation, there feels like there's been some sort of mental block for DNS when it comes to winning games. Something just goes wrong at some point and everything just falls apart. I'm really hoping they avoid that this game because, as I said before, it's been a good start so far. It's going to be a long time till we get a soul. Earliest, it's like a 31-minute soul, 32-minute soul. Oh, They found the hens. Trap comes down. He's just dead.
See, yeah, there's the trap. There's the headshot. And there goes the Nico. But the flank here from Kingen. Going to pick up closer. As that was a LeBlanc, but a nice kick comes through from Pioshik. On the other side of the fight, picks up a double kill this time. And Studu doesn't want to end the fight, but they do get to the turret. Yeah,
closer gets caught out, but the play in general was pretty good from DNS. Pioshik showed off those Lee Sin skills again. And now we see, oh, he landed the Sonic Wave there.
Yeah. Stun comes through.
And
There's
again.
another one. I mean, this time he's definitely going to go in. Kangan can't really peel that much for him, although I say that, immediately Pyosic's going to die. So, stays in range of that stun, the smash that comes in. But now Duckdom trying to go forward, and he is going to pay for it. The flash comes through from Sponge. Immediately, the targeted stun is there, and Nongshim are able to fight back. Here comes Closer, as let's triple down, why don't we? This Closer comes in and takes a bunch of damage, and now we got a TP, and they're looking at the Baron.
I think I just saw it. You know the moment we were talking about? I think I just saw it unfold in front of my eyes.
Like, can we get a replay of, like, what just happened in the last 30 seconds?
Nongshim are going to start up the Baron. There's no jungle on the enemy side, no AD carry either. And they're not even going to contest. That's just bad. Wow. Wow, Brendan. It just happened right in front of our eyes.
We just saw it.
Yeah.
Who could have predicted this to happen? It's very unfortunate, but, you know, Nongshim are a good enough team to catch it when the ball is thrown into their side.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good pick onto Lehens. I kind of want to see what happened to Closer here. Just gets caught by the Scion and ends up going down. Had flash, didn't get a chance to move it. This kick, though, the dodge from Pyosik as well was solid. Great play. Stop. Stop. No. That was it.
Delete.
That was it.
Delete the VOD.
So...
No.
You know what's funny is after this fight, when he died, you know what Pyosik immediately bought? Big treads.
Yeah.
Not feeling good about the CC. And then Duckdom, he's like, yeah, I can do this. What's a Pantheon gonna do? Stun me? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he will actually do that. And we don't see Closer also getting chunked out. So DNS still have a current lead, but Baron in the hands of Nongshim and Dragon up and available.
It's just one set of mistakes that can lead to so much. As now Lehen's going to get the follow-up here on a Duckdom. He's just dead. Pyosik says, I'll take out your AD carry. They don't quite take him down, though, as he lives for so long. And eventually, Dudu is going to go down as passive. Closer finally does get here. The stun there onto the Scion is going to stop Dudu from going down, it looks like. But yeah, with the Baron and a pretty good fight here for Nongshim, it looks like they might be able to take down this mid turret.
Scion just feels like a cheat code for... They're not in there yet, but for our Rise teams, it just feels like you just have him stand there and just block everything. And it's just so powerful.
It's the new Annie Wukong. Just play Scion.
It's working very well. I mean, dude, he got a lead. He's up in gold. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
It's not as useful as a Scion. Especially specifically against DNS's composition, who are going to struggle to cut through him for a while. Dragon going to be secured now for Nongshim. We'll see a replay of this situation. And the Tempered Fate doesn't hit, and then Lehen's landing this ult into root on Duckdom. He's deleted. Pyosik finds a good kick. But Diablo still takes a while to go down. It comes down to Grim Deliverance. And I mean, you think how quickly this Zahen gets shredded. Oh, Pyosik though, this is a kill.
Not sure how that happened. Just going through the jungle and got found, I guess.
I mean, Pyosik is generally making good plays on this Lee Sin, other than that mishap around mid. But the gold lead is still, it's 1,600. Nongshim haven't really gotten that much value off the Baron power play, but the problem is they've now got a second Dragon. Hextech Soul is a long way away for DNS. And you're starting to feel some of the difficulties they're having in team fights, because there's a lot of champions on the side of DNS who are scared of snakes, specifically the miasma that they spit out.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't get a chance to see what's going on there. Closer
going in onto the LeBlanc. And I mean, pretty difficult to take her down. Closer even going to flash. So that's 100% the LeBlanc out of there. Okay. 4 people from Nongshim went top to try to kill LeBlanc.
Yeah, that was a big commit. And LeBlanc, not the easiest to pin down. We've seen a lot of plays in the side lane of LeBlanc getting jumped on. You know, Civ HD back in the day. Wow. Away from that. That's a throwback. A lot of people won't remember that.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah. Everyone remembers those ones. You know the little brush in bot lane that you always used to hide in?
Yeah.
Classics. But now, DNS getting a lot from that, but Dudu running away from Sponge. And it just feels like Nongshim are kind of chasing down these solo laners in the side lane and getting neither of them. So not altogether too successful. 2,500 gold lead for DNS. They are ahead in gold still, but we can definitely see that disappear in a moment.
They're not ahead in tempo vibes.
Oh, there's a
that's
TP
for sure.
flank coming in from the Zahan. That's very deep.
Oh,
They did see that happen as well.
Yeah. Peter went kind of the opposite way, like he was getting collapsed on. He's like, I'm just going to jump into mid lane. Nongshim as a team, just going to take down the bottom turret. Kind of confused as to how this happened. Dude is like, yeah, that's definitely not Nico. Dudu trying to get access here to the back line. Diablo, okay, that's going to be an ult here onto Scout, who's in a bit of trouble. Dudu very deep in this one and is going to try to go down as a big smash finds 3, but down will go Scout. And now Diablo in a bit of trouble, but he's kiting it out. Closer finally does get the kill, but I think it's enough as Sponge will also bite the dust and Duckdom untouched this entire fight as DNS will get a big mid-game fight here. 26 minutes in.
Actually, a huge team fight for DNS, and they played it really well. Their target selection was pretty excellent. Diablo, who's super fed, didn't really get to operate freely on the Ezreal. And the pick, the Tempered Fate from Peter onto the Cassiopeia was massive. Doctor making sure he gets some range as well, because we get closer flank around the side due to coming here. Doctor gets the trap on a Scout, which puts a lot of pressure onto him. And then Kyoshik, this kick, knocking the Scion through the Cassiopeia into Lehens. And Closer just coming around to finish off Diablo before he can do anything more. Just some great moments, some great execution from DNS in that fight.
Yeah, I got a little bit worried for them when the 3 of them got smashed by the Scion. But it just didn't matter, because you have enough backline threats, and it only was a bit of a delay.
When he kicked the Scion, I just heard, like, you know that classic bowling sound effect, you know?
Yeah.
I just heard that in my head. Just the pins getting knocked down.
Wow, Closer really messed that clone up. I mean, this is a really good spot for DNS. You know, all of these things we were worried about, they had their moments, and yet just felt like maybe Nongshim overextended in the bottom lane and did not respect him.
We have the team fight overlay coming in. Oh no.
All right, now Closer in a bit of trouble, as that's going to be the root on a Duckdom as the 3-man smash comes in once again, and the damage has been done. Dudu, though, going crazy in the back line. Look at this side, and finally he will die. As Kingdom's like, no, we got to get something more after that. But unfortunately for him, they will not. They only get Dudu. They trade their support for it.
I mean, this was a great trade for Nongshim because Dudu is so strong, and Lehens is a support Nico. So now they're feeling confident to look towards the Baron. Dragon's up in 15 seconds. But for now, this setup was pretty fantastic from Lehens. Gets the root as well onto the Caitlyn, and then the True Shot Barrage hits 4 there. So much damage from Diablo. Dudu tries to make the play happen, but gets juked. And now Pioche looking for a steal.
I mean, the Sonic Wave not going to get there. He tries to get over the wall. It's not going to be close enough, as down he will go to his GA. As Closer in that backline as well. Not able to take out Scout, though. That is very unfortunate for him. Pioshik and Duckdom will fall, as now DNS really scrambling to try to get something back here. And they will be punished for it. Looks like Peter should be going down here in just a moment. They give that kill over to Diablo. And, you know, they challenged the Baron, which means that the Dragon is just free for Nongshim as well.
Yeah, they could have just gone for the Dragon. They could have just accepted, we're a man down, let's just go for the Dragon instead. It's not going to feel good in the short term, but in the long term, we get that payoff. But now, they lose 3 members. They lose the Baron anyway. Dragon is also going to be forfeit on top of that, presumably, once Nongshim have finished pushing. And the end result is the game is in a pretty dire spot. We do see Scout pushing up in the bot lane. I would like Nongshim to make a move towards the Dragon sooner rather than later, because now they're getting teleported on.
Yeah, they have stuck around way too long for this top turret, as that's Rise Group, baby, I suppose. Not the pretty fun kind.
Okay, now both teams are picking onto the Dragons. I was thinking it's a freebie Dragon for Nongshim.
Maybe they didn't know it spawned yet.
They thought differently. Kyoshik does get in range for the smite, but can't secure it. Hard to do against a Pantheon if you don't have the Sonic Wave on the objective.
We're fighting, by the way, as we're hiding on Bush, and it's Cassiopeia, the classic. Hide on Bush, press R, and you're going to kill the Bard. So now it looks like Nongshim should be able to get this Dragon.
So it's once again a free Dragon, it seems. Things are going very back and forth in this game. Although the end result is Nongshim definitely getting more advantages. 3,000 gold Baron power play, Soul Point, Hextech Soul Point. They're in a pretty great spot right now. But this game is anything but predictable. Actually, I say that. We knew that DNS was going to throw.
I mean, we knew that it was going to look like this.
Yeah.
But in its essence, these Rise Group games are very unpredictable.
Yeah.
So we predicted the unpredictability, I suppose.
Just a bit of a face check. Nongshim getting down there in time. They managed to kill Peter. Pyoshik is chunked out. Neither of those champions doing too well into Miasma, generally speaking.
I mean, when you get like that nice spread out miasma onto 2 different members that aren't also spread out, feels very nice as a Cassiope player myself. As Dudu is
on the flank.
Yeah,
he's a big threat.
He's got a pretty nice angle. Koshik also looking on the right side, but they elect not to go for it. So Nongshim just trying to get a little bit more out of the last dying breaths of the Baron buff.
And Dudu has just left. So won't be going for a flank engage here. Nongshim are walking up. Kingen can just tank the tower and stand in your face. There's not a ton you can do to him.
Dudu doesn't have TP, so when he shows bot, Nongshim are like, okay, it's 5v4, we can just keep pushing. And now they're going to trade flashes with Duckdom, and they're just going to keep pushing. As that ult, I do not know what that was, but a bit of zoning perhaps, keeping them in the base. As now the Miasma gets some good value there, but now it's Scout that's actually pretty far ahead. As English Music, crazy angle, going to take down Diablo. He will pay for it with his life now, but the Zahen is immediately enabled, although the Decimating Smash comes in, and Dudu is on the chase here looking for more, and he will pick up the Cassiopeia, as the Zahen is doing quite a lot in this game.
Wait, there's a big wave bot. It's 4 members to 2. There's like 30 seconds of it. Brendan, it might be happening.
There's no way.
It might actually be happening.
No.
They might be able to end. He just stopped. Oh, it was a TP. It was a TP. He'd have to queue. I don't think he was there in time, but that could have been the moment.
I'm not a believer.
I'm so close
personally not a believer.
Taking down their first Nexus in 30 games.
Well, they're gonna get the inhibitor.
Okay.
I think they have gotten some inhibitors.
They don't opt to go for the end. They have. Oh, I thought that could have been it. I thought they could have just pushed in. They don't find the angle. This kick from Pyoshik was slick. This was clean. He does die immediately after. They commit both those ults trying to find Noctam, and you get his flash, but Pyoshik lands a Sonic Wave onto the Pantheon, and then lands it again. Goes in, and then just the ward hop, mid-air ward hop into the kick was so clean. When there's so much CC that can immediately lock you down, you found a great angle there, and it frees up Dudu to go aggressive in this situation. Just not as much damage. Only Scout really doing damage to him, and he just kind of CCs him. This was another great fight from DNS. They're ahead in gold again. They are down in those dragons, but with the bot lane inhibitor down, it's just one more good fight. That's all they need, Brendan. One more good fight.
Just one.
That's all they need to get their first game win in the longest time.
I think it's pretty obvious, but I think a lot of their eggs are in the Zahen basket. I do think that Closer and Pyoshik still can do things. They're still close enough to their opponents on the other side.
Noctam is pretty strong, but he needs to live. Closer's a lot more behind. But Noctam with 4 items plus a BF sword, if he gets a headshot down, it will do a ton of damage to, well, not to Kingen, but to other people.
Yeah, I think that the backline Zahen is really what's going to make the difference, you know. The Caitlyn definitely getting strong as the game comes along, but so is the Ezreal.
Yeah, I was talking about how Sion looking OP, especially for Rise Group teams, but Dudu's making the Zahen really work. Pick we haven't seen too much of in a while. It does a combo to Kingen and does half a shield and damage. Yeah. Not that great. Yeah, Sponge has no flash, no GA. Does have the ult to get in the pit, but
there's the vision. I think it's a bit late. Sponge's going to try to ult. No, he's not even going to ult. They're just going to give it away.
Well, I think it's a right call because Dragon's up in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So DNS don't even get time to really use the Baron. They're going to recall and spend.
It's almost like Nongshim didn't even care about the Baron. Well, they're like, no, we don't want to get out of position. We want this straight.
I think the Hextech Soul is more important. They do have Scout having to answer this wave, but he has TP. And DNS are trying to force while Scout isn't there.
I mean, King is actually taking some damage, which is kind of crazy. I mean, this is what he can do. The pullback here from Dudu keeps Sponge around. That is the jungler down. As now we
He's just in the middle.
He's just going to TP right into the fight and, you know, does a little bit of damage to Duck Tom. We're going to TP to the ace. Dudu is going for the end, and I think he's actually going to do it. They take down the Ezreal. And with this small little wave, DNS, after 30 games in a row that were all losses, they will finally get their first win in 30 games. Nobody beats them 31 times in a row as DNS start off the series with a game victory.
Dudu gets the 50 gold as well. He definitely earned it in that one. And it feels like, not even like a series win. This feels like a season win because it has been almost the entire season since DNS have taken down.
They don't even know how to react. They're like, what just happened?
They're still hunting. They're hunting for the series. I think you can't get too over the top after that game win, but it's got to feel good, and the fans are going wild already. It's been so long since we've seen a singular game win. Dudu was absolutely massive. The gold graph looking a little bit like a heartbeat monster at the end, but they pulled it off. There were some great fights. There was a great early game. There was some great fights, some good objective setups. There was some of that typical DNS shenanigans where they throw it away, but they managed to find the game win, and now it's Nongshim who are staring down their loss streak being continued here and really have to bounce back for this game too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it just took Dudu hopping onto a carry, a bruiser carry from the top lane against the Scion to eventually get some stuff done and some backup from the other guys on the team. I do feel like DNS as a team actually played better than we have seen in quite a bit, so good on them. Nongshim, though, definitely going to have to go back to the drawing board after that game number 1 as DNS, yes, that is a 1 in the wins column for them as we head into the break.
역으로 우리가 백도로 끝낼 생각도 해봐 보면서.
여차하면 이거 자엔도
야 이번에 우리가 나 백도 이거 살짝 볼게 이거 나 분도 돼.
치면서 보자 치면서.
가보자.
나 좀 멀다.
이거 쳐봐. 야 좋아 좋아.
치면서 할게. 사이언도고.
야,
판테 맞아. 야 판테 깔게.
야 이거 카시텔
가시 노플.
카시 트랙 나 트랙게. 끝낸다.
아 지금 끊으세요.
끊어줘. 끝날긴 할 거야. 다 끊어봐. 그냥 끝났어.
드디어 깨냐?
니코 살아있고.
앞으로 가자.
니코 괜찮아.
끝났어. 나 반드시 넥서스 때리러 갈게.
야 좀만 천천히 밀어봐.
아니야.
잡고 와. 야 이겨보자 오늘은.
For Nongshim, losing at all would feel very rough, but losing 2-0 would be absolutely devastating. So they definitely want to bounce back in this game. They will once again be first pick, and bans seem to be following a similar route, very rapid fire, kind of like we had game 1.
Yeah.
Will we see something be left open in this situation though by Nongshim? They banned Rumble here. I could see them leaving the Rumble open and trying to first pick it. We know that Kingan's been pretty fantastic on it throughout his career, and Dudu was a major problem in the last game. We were talking about how Sion was OP. I was saying specifically it might end up running the Rise group. Well, Dudu said no, actually, I am the carry.
But if you pick Rumble, you go straight into Dusante. and I feel like that's more comfort. They're actually going to go for the Rise instead. This does leave the Rumble available. So on the flip side of the matchup, if Dudu wanted to play Rumble, hanging with the Cassandra.
Annie Wukong, are they beginning to understand? They're beginning to understand, Brendan.
They get it.
They
Finally.
get it. They know who they are. They are a Rise Group team. That is the fate they've been given. And they're like, that's not a bad thing. Okay, they're gonna play
to your strength.
Play to their strengths, and that is locking in the Annie Wukong. This combination, for those who were shooting into the Rise Group games last year, it ran the Rise Group. It was undefeated for such a long time. And we see Nongshim go for the Inara Lulu, a combination which definitely looks to bolster Diablo, but a combination that this top side of the map from DN Supers are very well equipped to shut down. Annie, Wukong, and Rumble. That's a pretty terrific team fighting combination. You have a lot of lockdown, a lot of CC potential to set up that equalizer.
Yeah, now if you pick a third here, you get a chance to protect it with 2 bans. You know, it's very different from first picking it and potentially getting counterpicked in the first 3.
The 3 picks we've kind of seen into Rumble are Ambessa, Cassante, and Yorick. I think the 3 of the picks have had some success. We've seen pretty recently. They're not going to ban any of those. They're going to go straight for the Nocturne ban, though. Nocturne Lulu has been a pretty powerful combo. You go in with the ult and then just straight away
the Fury ban? Afterwards?
I think it makes sense. Sponge is... to be honest, I feel like Kyoshik is the one who's had more success than the Fury, but Sponge definitely has played it a few times. And they are just going to get rid of the Cassante instead. In terms of jungles, it kind of is, you know, you have the Fury, Xin Zhao, Trundle, Garnet even, are some of the picks that are available for Sponge. But it is DN Super's picking now after that Ashe ban and kind of have to figure out what they're doing with that bot lane. There is Jin, who I think on top of this composition would be pretty solid. If they start the fight with all the ultimates, you just pop your ultimate and fire off from a distance. Pretty reliable in that regard, and a decent lane into Yunara Lulu. But instead, they go for the Zeri. Are we going to get Zeri Yuumi? I actually think that might be what they go for.
I think it's your best bet.
And Nautilus and Vi are gone. I mean, Nautilus was after the Lulu was picked anyway. But limited options into that. They are just going to go for Xin Zhao. Not too much of a surprise there. And now top lane in the Rumble. Is it going to be the Galio that we've seen a little bit? The Ambessa? The Yorick maybe?
Anivia?
It's going to be the Galio.
Don't play Anivia. Anivia's not good here. But it is a Kangen pick. Galio does feel much better.
So, decent lane matchup there.
Look at his smile. He knows. Can
also ult in to follow the Xin Zhao. I can sense it. The Yuumi. I mean, the Yunara Lulu is just not going to have enough pressure to stop you from scaling. And the Yuumi can jump on like the Wukong as well when he goes into ult. You know what? I think the DN Supers, I think they've cooked with this one. And now with an Annie Rumble, they're going to cook the enemy team as well.
There you go.
I think this is solid. I think it's going to be good in team fights. You have a scale in bot lane. I think you're in with a good chance as long as things don't go too awry in the early game. And if we're being honest, DN Supers have, compared to any other stage of the game, the early game has kind of been their forte.
Yeah.
The sort of 20-minute mark is normally where not their forte. But I like this composition for the DN Supers. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is Xin Zhao does have a bit more agency in the early game. I mean, a decent amount more agency in the early game. You have the Rise who can roam. You have the Galio as well, who is going to have a good lane into the Rumble. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about. But if you weather the storm a bit, if you handle things okay, if you get to your level 6s, could we be seeing the end of this series loss streak for the DN Supers? They win the first series of the season. They win their second to last as well. Could be the reality.
Yeah.
We'll have to see them execute on this composition, though.
Thankfully, it's not too difficult, I would say. It's definitely on the lower end in terms of the difficulty scale. Everybody can go in at the same time. You got a Zeri for cleanup. Everybody presses their buttons. I think they're cooking, as you said. We'll see what happens here as we hop on the Rift for game number 2.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
Alrighty, game number 2. DNS looking for their first series win in a very long time. They already have game number 1 underneath their belt. They lost 30 straight games, and then they picked up game number 31.
Oh, and Diablo's also gone cleanse, which, I mean, it's useful into Annie, but is absolutely useless in lane. Apart from the exhaust, I guess. It has value against the exhaust, and we know Yumi's taken that, so I guess that's the thought process, is you can cleanse the exhaust. But that's kind of the only real value you're getting from it, which, I mean, it's still a decent amount. But we've seen the barrier heal combo be so potent in terms of early trades in the lane. And that won't be available.
Rumble, it does feel like there are a lot of answers into him now. You're not picking him to just destroy lane or anything like that. Like, he is a strong laner, but it's not like, okay, we got him, now he just wins lane. It's more of, okay, he does incredible amounts of damage in the mid-game especially. Get him a couple items, get some CC on your team, and somebody is going to be cooking. As there's the cleanse. Goes in for an aggressive trade at level 2.
You know what would have been crazy? Is if they just cleansed Lehens instead at some point. Because he obviously... sorry, they exhaust Lehens instead at some point. So he can't cleanse it. That would have been such a crazy angle from Dr. Peter. I mean, there, Diablo's up in your face, you're going to press the button.
Speaking of a crazy angle, they have baited them into this just a little bit. Pyosik is looking for Diablo here. The flash on in with the red buff, and Diablo is absolutely dead. As first blood given over to Pyosik. Would have liked that on your Zeri, but I mean, this is, again, Pyosik making an early play.
I would have
getting ahead.
expected Doctam to be the one giving that kill, but I guess the thought process is Pyosik can now take that gold advantage and play around the rest of the map with it. But an early pickup there, no summons available. It's so hard to gank this set unless she walks up that far. Then it's a bit easy.
Yeah. Well, Sponge is going to try, as there goes Duckdom. He's got Peter on his back. Flash comes in. Peter's already detached. He's like, no, I'm getting out of here. But I'm not sure if he is. The flash glitter lands, and maybe he is fast enough.
Yeah.
As he's going to get slowed up once again, and now he is very dead. Sponge picks up 2 kills in the bottom lane.
Just when we were talking about the bot lane being a successful situation for DNS, we see Doctam and Peter just step too far. They could have backed away. And it's this moment that we'll see in a second. But first off, this was such a heavy commit. They knew they were going to make this play work. You get an early flash coming out from Pyosik and Doctam just to make sure we're definitely getting this kill. And then this moment, if they just backed off, they're like, no, we need to stop Lehens from freezing the wave. And that's what ends up costing them. And Peter even disconnects pretty early, but then he changes his mind in terms of which direction he's going. Because he sees the mid state, he sees that Ryze as a wave push, and he goes, oh, actually, I need to walk down to my tower. If it immediately started going down bot, I think he would have gotten away. A lot of ifs and buts around that, but ultimately DNS losing out in the extended play.
This is actually the first time this season that Duckdom and Peter have gone to the Zeri Yuumi. Not a big surprise. We have seen a bit of Yuumi, you know, some Sivir Yuumi from KT. But Zeri Yuumi not that common. I think we saw it maybe once or twice. I think just once, but yeah, kind of unfortunate that they do get that early kill and then just kind of give it away, as Closer's taking a bit of damage here. And doesn't have his TP, so things aren't going very well for him.
Yeah, he's very low and had that flux on himself, so it was a little scary. He's just going to recall, miss out on a bit of farm. All in all, lane's gone pretty good for Nongshim. Galio, expectedly into Rumble, is kind of just chilling. About to pick up this wave as well, and we'll be ahead in CS. Scout just managed to force closer back bot lane. It's unfortunate Diablo didn't get any of the gold from those kills, but still within touching distance in terms of farm. In terms of gold, sorry, he's ahead in farm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dragon up and available, and it is an early Ocean. To me, if I see an early Ocean, the early game is where it has the most impact, the extra sustain on lane, but also just means you're not getting Ocean Soul. So it feels really good, and Sponge is going to move over to it.
Yeah. It's nothing bad about taking this early Drake, especially you saw in the last game where we did see some Dragon pressure, but they weren't quite able to get the Soul early enough before the Zahen got out of control. And so if you can start it up a little bit earlier, want to feel much better about it. Closer, it's level 6, and he's going to be enjoying the lane a little bit more this time around. As Pyosik is coming over here, puts down a ward, says, okay, they're doing the dragon, but I'm not going to go in there.
Yeah, no flash, so if you go in, it's very much a one-way trip, and he's not willing to make that move. So Dragon picked up for Nongshim, Hextech the next, so you kind of remove one of the weakest and the strongest soul, but odds are still pretty good to get a powerful soul coming out of this.
Top lane, you already talked about it. It's not that interesting. It's just Rumble farming against a Galio.
Yeah.
They don't really care about each other. There's not a lot of kill pressure unless someone messes up big time.
Yep, pretty much. And I think having the Galio as backup for the Zinzao is pretty valuable. It's also been the Storm Surge. What's it called again, the new rune? We had it before.
Storm Surge.
No, Storm Surge is the item.
Storm Raiders.
Yes.
Surge?
What?
Storm Raiders raid? I just know the
Wait,
first
it's
part.
Storm Raiders Surge. It is Storm Raiders.
Yeah. And you're making me second guess myself.
I was second guessing myself. But on the Galio does have decent burst damage, but going that first tank item, not going to be as easy to proc that on some of the tankier targets. But Storm's... What's the item called that has Storm? Is that just called Storm Surge?
Storm Surge, yeah.
That's so confusing. We have Storm Raider Surge and Storm Surge now?
Yeah. We don't have Storm Surge's Raider yet.
Raiders Storms. They should have called it Raiders Storm Surge, and then you have Storm Raiders Surge, and that would have really been confusing.
Wow.
Because I was saying it, I was like, no, that's the item, right? And then, no, it's just both of them.
What about an item called Surge Storm?
Oh, not really.
That's not that.
Also, because they
that's
put
pretty
death.
confusing.
There's Deathfire Touch and Blackfire Torch.
Yes.
There's a lot of overlap.
And Deathfire Grasp as well.
No, not anymore. They killed that.
It still exists in the universe.
Imagine if you could just get... There was like a champion who could get access to like old items. That was like their thing as a champion. You go into the shop and it
Heart
has
of
like...
Gold.
Yeah, Heart of Gold.
Please give me one of those. So broken. We got a little bit of a bot dive brewing here.
Oh, no.
I say a little bit. This is a big one. We got a TP coming in, though.
It's a good TP, and that's
Yeah.
enough.
It's an early one, too, which helps.
And that means Pyosic's going to be able to get these grubs uncontested.
Well, Sponge is going to get exhausted here. Scout is just watching this all happen. There's not really much he can do about it. That's a kill, a shutdown amount of gold. I know it was 451 given over to a Zeri. Not quite a Zeri moment, but...
That feels pretty good. Sponge was trying to walk up to the wall to flash it, but kind of realized at a certain point, they will just follow me and I'll die anyway. And maybe Scout will die too. So doesn't opt to go for the flash there, holds on to it. But as you said, big amount of gold given over to the Zeri, and just a bit of an overstay. I think it's the fact that, okay, the play has happened. He's going to leave, but he sticks around and recall. He recalls in the brush. So I guess he was trying to leave, but just didn't do it in the safe, respectful way. And is caught out by Docdam with the extendo beam. It also means Scout doesn't get to move mid as soon. He already did manage to pick up a couple of plates, but could have got a bit more maybe. Probably not another plate, if I'm being honest. But either way, not Sponge's best play there. Oh, the cannon. Oh, that's so sad. He was stunned for the cannon.
Calculated from closer to deny that one. Can always be very annoying that way.
A minute till this next dragon. And it is Nongshim who have a good amount of control of the bot side. I mean, look at the jungle. Pyosic's moving through this red side jungle, trying to spot out all these wards, and there's just vision everywhere right now. So they're going to know where they're coming from when they push into, if they push in to contest this dragon, which I would think they would want to.
Yeah. Does appear as if they're doing so. And they're just going to go over all the vision, essentially, and say, well, we can't clear all of it, so let's just kind of walk right at them. TP is available for both of the top laners, but Kingen is being chunked out right before we do have a potential fight brewing down on the bottom side. So if he wanted to back and try to ult in, not really a good timing for that. Scout is going to run away from Closer, who also got chunked himself. Does have Tibbers, but no TP. And now Duck Dom is going to find himself face-to-face with 3 as the Tibbers does not stun. And Closer's very low still. So the flash over the wall, there's the root. Very easy setup for the Rise and the Xin Zhao. That will be a kill already. Bit of damage coming out from the Yuumi onto Scout, but the Wild Growth is there. And now Pyosik is going to get over the wall just barely. And now we got Diablo on the follow-up here up against Duck Dom. Bunch of damage coming out from the Zeri, though, is going to push him back for now. As eventually, Duck Dom looking for more. Flashes over the wall. And Diablo says, no, I know what you're doing. I'm just going to wait for my team. The tanking comes in. As even the barrier is going to be used from Duck Dom to try to trade the kill back. It's not going to happen as Sponge picks up a 4th kill.
Yeah, Duck Dom committed his ult pretty late in that 1v1, and with Experimental Hexblade, your ult is a lot of your power. He had the barrier advantage, so I actually think in the pure 1v1, he would have been able to win out over Diablo. But unfortunately, that wasn't an isolated 1v1. Nongshim were moving down, find the favorable play, and now...
Dude, it's just very caught. I mean, the Realm Morph play here from Scout, quite nice, especially the timing of it, too. I don't know if Dudu would have expected him up here this quickly. And, you know, flash available for Dudu, but no reason to use it. So a kill goes over to Scout, his first one of the contest.
Yeah, just a nice move there from Scout. Finding that angle, shutting down the Rumble. I feel like that's one of the things with the Galio into Rumble, is that it's so easy to set up ganks, even though you're not like solo killing the Rumble in that matchup. If anyone walks up there, when you have a Rise that's so easy to do, it's pretty difficult for the Rumble to get away from all that CC setup.
Yeah. You also don't get pushed out of lane very easily, so you're always at like a good amount of health, so you can always be present for ganks and stuff. We had that bottom, well, I guess it's the bottom side of the map, but it was around the Raptors, that fight that we had. And now the resets come in and the Dragon will go down. So a little bit of a delay before the Dragon actually does go down, but Nongshim have a very nice lead in this early game, and it is going to be the Mountain Soul that does come through. Can be quite valuable for them, especially against all of this burst.
Definitely would be. A lot of bulky champions as well on Nongshim. They're going to get good value out of the resistances and just feel very hard to cut through with the shield. Zeri not necessarily the best tank killer. So it could be a problem. We haven't really seen DNS have too much success in this game. 2,000 gold down now. And now we're going to have to put a lot of focus towards those dragons. But there is obviously the concern of the Zeri Yuumi later on. And this was a patch as well where Zeri got buffed, because you got kind of like a lot of changes. The previous patch didn't quite hit 100% and now got buffed to be quite a bit stronger. Closer's found Sponge, but has been spotted himself.
Closer's like, he definitely didn't see me if I just hide in this bush. He'll have no idea. Meanwhile, there were like 8,000 pings that the Annie was there.
Yeah, the sweeper catching them. I feel like it's always weird with the sweeper when you catch someone, because certain, especially a small model like Annie, looks like some of the wards that you actually, you know when you sweep a ward and they have like a specific type of ward and it looks weird?
Well, Closer just, he just stepped out of the bush.
Well, yeah, he got swept anyway, but he moved also. But I feel like when you sweep and you see a shape in the brush, sometimes it takes you a moment to be like, what is this? What am I looking at?
Yeah.
Is that the Coma ward?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sponge just so strong right now.
Oh, they're looking to collapse here.
Sponge nearly 2 items, has a Lulu behind him.
Yoshik wanted to go for that play. You could see him.
Yeah.
He was ready to dash in. I wouldn't advise it now, though. And doesn't end up going for it in the end. Would be a little bit risky.
Yeah, I think it's good that Nongshim try to utilize the Xin Zhao Lulu power and just kind of move around the map as 3, especially when Galio's locking down the Rumble, or trying to, and the Rise is great in the side lane. Just move around as a 3-man unit and just take things away.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. Lulu Xin Zhao being that popular combo for the longest time, especially with Sponge being this fed, this far ahead. Scout also in a pretty great position in the mid lane. The mid jungle of Nongshim doing very well this game. But Pyosik now looking for Kingin.
I mean, might be able to get the stun as, yeah, he's going to throw the taunt up. Pyosik will tank the turret, though. Flashes away at the last moment and does survive.
A little bit touch and go, but Kingin doesn't have any armor to speak of, and Wukong Ultimate just does so much damage. He's also pretty low in the offset. So now they do get that kill onto Kingin. It's going to allow Dudu to get some plates, but Nongshim going to go straight for the Herald in return. And they're trading, getting this top tower as well. So pretty positive for Nongshim, despite the fact they lost their top laner.
Yeah, it's just a Galio. It just goes down. We got the flash away from the Wukong, so there's less pressure in team fights. This is the dive once again.
Yeah, King already about half HP. And the equalizer is pretty good. He flashes and ends up still on top of it. So a lot of damage done there. And Pioshik, I definitely think there was a part of him that thought, am I just dead? On that first tower hit, it was pretty close to taking him down. Doesn't though, and he opts to flash out for the second, which is a good call. Now that it's a minute 20 on this next dragon, Herald and pocket for Nongshim, so they kind of have choices here with this Herald. Do you throw it down mid to try and attract a lot of the attention from DNS, or do you save it for a combat Herald?
Dudu has some support here from Pioshik, and again, no flash because he used it down in the bottom dive, but at least he's able to show some presence for Dudu, keep him safe.
Yeah, some good poke there that comes through. Sponge still trying to contest. He throws the Herald down here. I'm not a huge fan of this Herald usage. I feel like timing it better with the Dragon would have been more impactful. You could have looked for mid tower, could have used it in combat.
Well, they're really trying to bully Kingen on the backside of this. Closer's got to be careful not to die.
Oh, no stun. Oh,
he got it back! And now Kingen's like, well, maybe I can just ult away. Yes, he can. He's going to ult in the mid. And Kingen says goodbye in one manner.
The power of having two ways to just disengage in the situation. You see, Dokkan was even walking away and then saw the stun coming and was like, oh, actually. So, buying a lot of attention from DNS. Nongshim, 3,000 gold up. 15 seconds till that Dragon. One thing to be said with the Herald, though, is by using the Herald early, they get to recall and actually spend the money from it. So at least there's that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Sponge now on 2 completed items, which is pretty massive. But they don't have that Herald, but mid tower already going down anyway because Dokkan moved over top to try and contest and take down the Galio. The DNS definitely not in a great position right now for this setup. Oh, don't walk in, don't walk in, don't walk in. Okay, they're good.
It was a good bait, actually, from Pioshik. You know, if you see them taunt, although the flash comes in, they just try to burst down Dokkan. It's not going to be successful, though, as Pioshik goes in, and he just peels so well, kills Diabolus on top of it all as Dokkan goes over the wall, and he's going to regret that one, as now Pioshik is 1v3, has a Yuumi, but eventually the Yuumi doesn't do a whole lot, and even Scout is going to take down Duty here with the help of Lahens, as Scout will pick up the kill.
Big teamfight win for Nongshim there. DNS, I feel like a lot of things went wrong in that situation. So first and foremost, we see the trade, the aggressive plays onto the AD carries, and Sponge doesn't manage to kill Dokkan because Pioshik provides this disruption. It's just 100 of zeros, the Yunara. But then Dokkan dashes over the wall when the Xin Zhao is chasing him. So with your dash down, you just free prey. Do also look, he flashes over the Q from Rise. It actually looked sick in the 1v1, but it wasn't a 1v1. So Lahens just comes over and allows Scout to win the fight. It's now a 5,500 gold lead for Nongshim. They're in a very good spot. Their Dragon also secured, so 1 away from Seoul. And having a much better game in this game too.
That's kind of what we expected to see from Nongshim. Some nice proactivity early on in the game. Capitalizing on the mistakes of DNS, which is something you can, unfortunately, kind of always expect, right? You know, Dokkan and Peter pushing up a little bit too far in the bottom lane, so even after they got that first kill to Pioshik, they gave over a ton of gold to Sponge, and then just utilizing their really strong Xin Zhao in this early to mid game, and DNS haven't really had an answer to it. That last team fight looked okay with Pioshik getting the kill on the Diablo, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. When your Zeri's dashing right next to a super fed Xin Zhao,
yeah, I think the thought process was if I dash over the wall, I'm safe. But it just meant you were now dashless and the Xin Zhao was on top of you, which wasn't ideal. Now just taking a lot of the jungle away from DNS here. Pioshik's moving in.
I mean, they're trying to get something going with the Yuumi and with the Wukong, but there's the follow-up, and we got some very healthy Nongshim members. Able to get the Galio ult out, I suppose. And now Kingen is just walking in between the turrets. That's a very nice equalizer, but most of the damage is onto a Galio who just tanks it up. That's in goes Scout right on top of all of them, and the flash over the wall from Kingen is good enough to put the Zeri into her grave, as Diablo also going to go very deep for that one, but has Lulu behind him, and Nongshim, I think, just too big of a lead to lose this one.
Too far ahead. Scout super strong, could just realm warp in, looked a little crazy for a moment. They saw an angle for a big equalizer, but Kingen doesn't let Pyoshik get onto his backline. And then Scout just can't get punished. He's too tanky at this point. And the Zeri build, the Hex plate into Runans, not exactly great for shredding through this bulky Rise.
Yeah. I think he needed a lot more time. I know he needed a lot more time in this game.
Scout with the Actualizer as well is so strong. It's not a great game state for DNS, and it's just about to get worse.
Yeah, that's not really your jungle. Doing a bit of damage
Sponge went for the Yuumi, and that let Pyoshik live. I thought he was just dead there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
They get to survive. Scout is a over 3 level lead over Closer. This Annie, for all our praise about Annie Wukong, if you fall this far behind, I mean, look at the items. Actually, just look at the items.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Malignance and an
I wish I could
Alternator.
avoid looking.
There's 3 full. It's not a good. It's not a good comparison.
They don't have any vision here, the Banana Brush. They're all in there. Duck Dom, though, is very mobile, so at least he's able to get away for now. Pyoshik's like, well, I got to send it. There's the equalizer. Diablo also going to get exhausted. Takes a lot of damage. Duck Dom goes in and just tries to send it one last time. It's not going to happen, though, as the wallets are just a bit too heavy.
Just a crushing win there for Nongshim. Sponge will scare Dudu away, but I think they're just going to look straight towards the Baron now. Pyoshik takes the blue buff. That's his reward, I guess. But this game not in a good spot for DNS right now.
This is a nice little setup from Nongshim there in the Banana Brush, knowing that DNS did not have much vision. And, you know, of course, they don't want to let this go down to a Baron flip, so they look for the turn.
They don't find the initial engage on a Duck Dam, but then Pyoshik goes in and just kind of frees up Diablo after that is used. He gets a ton of damage. Duck Dam flashes in, but can't finish him off. You can see a scenario where there's more gold in DNS's pockets, where they would actually be able to win that fight, but unfortunately just so far behind right now. 11,000 gold deficit. It's rather significant, I would say. 16 kills to 4.
It's a pretty big lead.
But hey, you know what the good news is? DNS at least already won a game in this series.
Yeah, they got that pressure off their back, I suppose. Unfortunately, though, I don't know. They looked much better in game number 1 when the pressure was still there. Also, I mean, they had a lot of comfort. They had a very nice comp. I feel like they had a very nice comp this time as well. But Nongshim just playing it a bit better in the early game, not allowing DNS to really get anything going in this one. So, don't really get to see any more of the DNS magic, at least not in this game. But they buy themselves a 3rd game, so we will get to see them give it one more chance. Dudu's getting pressured. Nongshim, gonna throw some stuns into the winds, perhaps.
Yeah, that wasn't. Some of these fights, I'm like, if they had more gold, they would have won. That one, you're losing no matter what. That one wasn't one of them. Yeah. Tibbers just completely whiffing. And now Nongshim are just going to push this game to an end and take us to a game 3. Both teams able to pick up a game win in this series. Scout will just root Knockdown.
I mean,
running.
The Mikhails works pretty well against the Rice route. They took down Diablo, but it's just a little bit too far gone in this one. 13,000 gold ahead is Nongshim, and they will bring us to a game number 3. A very decisive, one-sided game here. Not much Rise Group baby to be seen this time.
Yeah, clearly upset about the fact that they lost game 1. Nongshim come out in force and just shut down DNS pretty convincingly. Not much to be said, honestly, about that game. Sorry, DNS just never really getting off the ground. We said they needed to kind of weather the storm a bit and get to team fights, and that just wasn't possible for them.
Yeah, a lot of this happening in the early game. I'm sure our space is going to break down all of the many fine details we saw that allowed Nongshim to get this very big lead. At least DNS tasted the victory, and they can say, okay, well, we know what it's like. We know what we got to do. Maybe we can go back to the drawing board. I am a little bit worried, though, for game number 3, Fearless, because, you know, again, the comps in games 1 and 2, I feel like we're good. It's just game 2, they weren't able to put it together, and now they're running out of champion pool.
Yeah, and this was a rough one for Close. I feel like despite Nongshim being on this loss streak, Scout's been having some solid games, and he displayed that again here, just gapping Closer in the mid lane, if we're being honest, by a pretty large margin. So Closer needs to step it up for game 3 if they want to be successful in this series.
Yeah, absolutely does need to. Bit of a one-sided affair there in the middle of that one. And this says, don't fool around, just give me the match win. And we'll see which team is going to be able to pick that one up as we do head towards a game number 3 in this one. A pretty close affair between these two teams. 1-1 series on our hands as we head into the break.
나온다. 2초, 1초.
나 싸움 해줄래? 싸움 해줄래?
맞을게. 아, 체리 되고. 아, 체리 안 돼, 체리 안 돼.
아, 다이 봐줘, 바위 봐줘.
끝낸가 보다. 아, 2, 3초.
나 미칼 있어. 제리 노플이야.
함정역. 잡을래, 일단. 딜해도 돼, 딜해도 돼. 함정역 끝.
나
함정역
넣는다.
떨어져도 되긴 해, 방금면.
내려볼게.
앞에
내려
맞게.
봐줘. 쫄면 나가줘.
아, 이거 안 된다. 함정역 더 들어오면 되고.
검에 노플.
내리 위로 빠졌어.
8초.
A long way along these loss streaks. One of them will break that streak. One of them will get their first win in a long time. For Nongshim, it's been 10 series. For DNS, it's been 15. And it comes down to this final game. Once again, Nongshim will get first pick. DNS will get blue side. That has been consistent throughout the series. And we'll see if the bans end up being consistent. So DNS have banned Orianna, Jarvan, and Lucian every single game. But Nongshim have tweaked theirs bit by bit. The Rumble was what they let through last time.
Oh.
They banned the Trundle.
Karma up.
We've seen normally, originally, Trundle was like a counter to Zinzala. It was the only time it was really picked. But we've seen it rise in priority a decent amount. So interesting they go and prioritize that. Karma's available, but it's going to ban Lucian again. So presumably, it's going to be a first pick Karma.
Why is Sponge nodding?
Nope, they're going for the Nocturne. So they're just
Okay.
letting Karma go. I think the game plan here is ban as many junglers as possible and then pick Nocturne, and we don't really care about anything else. But even before Neferi was meta, Pioshik had those phenomenal Neferi games, and it's still open and available, so I don't even think he's bothered by this at all.
And just pick Karma with Neferi, and maybe you get Jhin, or maybe you get something else. Maybe you can play Sivir. I mean, you know, our space went on and on about how the bot lane duo is so important in this meta, and it is. They do have to respond with their jungler now, I suppose. You could have saved it for pick 3, but then it's a little bit obvious, I suppose.
So we're presuming it's going to be the Neferi comment that comes in.
Yeah, but now they don't get their Jhin. assuming that's what they wanted to
There's
play.
Jhin, there's Sivir. I think it's okay. As long as
Yeah.
you don't let it go through to the second rotation of bans, I think you're fine. But as you said, it makes it a little telegraphed. Kind of know what they're going to lock in. And the question is, are Nongshim going to lock in a bot lane here? As the space was saying, securing bot lane early on is important. And it looks like they're going to go MF Nautilus, which was just talked about in the space. That's
Our
been very
Spacers
solid, very
really knowledgeable.
Yeah. Sivir going to come through as a response. I think that makes sense. Spell shield, good value into the Nautilus. You scale well. You can kind of just wave clear after a point effectively into this combo. This is very much Nongshim wanting to secure kills, though. And Peter is going to be the one in danger, first and foremost. So he's got to watch out there. Lehens has been a very proficient Nautilus. But now it's all about the solo lanes. And DNS, having second pick, have a bit of an advantage here. I'm kind of wondering what they're going to lean towards here. Closer had a rough game last time around, so I want to see him have a better performance.
How
But now-
about an Akali? Oh, wait.
That's gone.
That was like obvious pick number 1 for closer. What's obvious pick number 2? Ari?
Maybe Aurora. I know Closer's a bit of a fan of the Aurora.
Or an Afiri
Pretty strong.
can do some damage.
Also hard to pin down for both the Nautilus and the Nocturne.
Yeah.
Cassante, by the way, is also still available. So DN Supers could even go... I mean, I feel like going Aurora here and then Cassante after is good, but they could even early prior the Cassante just because it is Dusante. And, you know, there's no Trundle in the game.
Yeah.
There's no Cassante in the game now.
Yeah.
I
There's a
think-
lot of top lane stuff available.
DNS were a little suspicious.
You can play Nari, you can play Renekton. They're just going to save counter pick for top lane, which is fine. The Aurora we expected does come through. And now you're going to have to blind pick for Kingen and response pick into Aurora, which is not easy. The Renekton blinds in top lane.
And what about Scout? There's still Talia is available, and he is just going to lock that in. I feel like a lot of the mid lane is knocked out in terms of the priority order. The LCK, Talia is just going to come through. Is it just going to be Gnar for Dudu? Yes, it is. Well, no big surprises in the draft so far, but it is going to come down to execution. I feel like mid lane is going to be really important because top lane, we tend to see the Renekton have pressure early, even though Gnar scales well into the matchup. Bot lane is going to be pretty volatile and expect a lot of jungle attention there to try and punish this Karma, so Peter's going to be under a lot of pressure. But mid lane, Scout kind of has had Closer's number. And we need a good game from Closer in this one. If he falls behind the lane, then it's not just going to be the Nocturne going bot. It's going to be the Talia as well. And I don't think Doctor and Peter can survive against that. So
Yeah.
I do think that the composition of Nongshim does trend much earlier. And you're dealing with some dangerous scaling elements.
Yeah.
But we saw in Game 2, they were just able to win out in the early game.
Absolutely. It looks like that fan's school was having an event with a bunch of artists coming down, but she came to the LCK instead.
Wow, that's commitment.
Definitely a good idea. Also, that fan's ramen is salty, not because of the the packet in the ramen. It's because of her tears.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the experience for
No pressure,
fans,
though.
I suppose.
No pressure. But I'm
let's see how
crying
it
into my
goes.
noodles.
Yeah. Game number 3 starts now. Alrighty, game number 3. DNS, they want to break the streak. Nongshim wants to break the streak. Both teams desperate for a series win.
Okay, so Lehens goes heal Spellbook. Which is interesting. Because personally, I expected Ignite Aftershock.
Yeah.
I thought they were going into this like, we are winning lane, we are killing this Karma on spawn repeatedly. But this is definitely the more passive Nautilus option. And Nautilus does have value in team fights later on. Spellbook and heal are heal's gonna help you survive lane, even though you're gonna have less kill pressure.
Also gives you a little speed boost, as we saw there.
Yeah, the health kind of wasted there though. They were very healthy already.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like there's not a ton of great value for a Nautilus this game in team fights. Nautilus is always going to have some value, but in this game specifically, you ult Doctor he spell shields, you ult Closer, he can actually go into the weirding, and he can actually break, like the ult stops traveling because of the stealth. Neferi is a no-brainer. So it's not like those games where you have a Nautilus and you just think, wow, I press R and we win. It's not actually like that. So I think it's going to be a bit trickier for Lehens to have the impact we'd expect. See what he was able to bring out, though.
Yeah. Also, if you do actually hit someone with CC and you stun them, you have a decent amount of chain ability with some of the CC within their comp. With the Talia, with the Renekton. Those two together always interact very nicely together, Talia and Renekton. Then you drop a Nautilus in, you know, they can't spell shield everything. The Karma isn't going to necessarily enjoy yourself all too much, so maybe that's still the idea, right? Just kill the Karma over and over, even if I don't have Ignite. Just with the amount of CC they have within the composition.
And we do see Dudu going for that Doran's Helm on the Gnar, that item that's gotten a lot of buffs. Well, one buff, but, you know, got introduced and then got buffed.
Yeah.
Puts in a pretty powerful spot.
We don't have lethal tempo for him.
Yeah, go on the fleet footwork. Not as much power in the all-in. Not as much power. Honestly, in team fights, we've seen sometimes the mini Gnar with lethal tempo go crazy. But a bit more sustain and survivability in lane. That movement speed can help you disengage from the Renekton.
Yeah, Gnar is finding a lot of success in general in the LCK. 34-17, which is basically a 67% win rate. Have a little fight here as they're fighting over the Scuttle Crab, it looks like.
Basically a what percent win rate?
66-7%.
Oh. I thought that's what you said.
Win rate. It's, like I said, a lot of success. And especially recently, I think there's been a lot of players who have also found some good streaks on the pick and haven't lost quite that much. So Gnar feels very good nowadays.
Yep. So far, Pyosik managed to secure that Scuttle Crab, which is positive. None of the lanes really fallen behind much for DNS, which is great. That's how you want things to be going. The Hen's getting chunked out as he's looking for an engage. Dudu getting chunked out as he's looking to not be engaged on. And that level of HP is definitely a little bit volatile. If Renekton does get cooldowns back in Fury, it maybe just explode the Gnar.
Yeah, Pyosik was up there on the top side as Kingen is, you know, going through parts of his jungle, but they don't really have kill pressure onto Kingen, so not going to go for it. Pyosik just wants to do the very standard jungle thing in the LCK, especially with just go for the full clear here, try to get level 6 on the Scuttle with the help of your team. Might lose his Raptors, though. His in comes Scout and Sponge, but Peter is here as well. Sponge trying to get out with the spell shield. He's going to get extremely low as they follow over the wall. I think eventually the damage comes through. That's again first blood for Pyosik. That's 3 games in a row where Pyosik has first blood. It's kind of crazy, incredible. And yeah, that's a nice knockback here from Scout to kind of save Lehens' life, who also had to flash away.
So DNS may have come out ahead in that play, but he burned every single flash to do it. This is kind of crazy. Pyosik doesn't flip over the wall here. He wants to commit to the fight, so he just uses his W, and as a result gets feared and flipped. But then Sponge is already so low, and that's 3 instantaneous flashes to kill this Nocturne. We then see in the follow-up play, Lehens gets baited by the spell shield, thinking it might be down. And then Peter flashes to keep Lehens in tether range, but then changes his mind and backs away and allows him to flash away and break the tether. So not the full commitment there on the play, was conscious of Diablo just killing him. The end result, it's a slight advantage to DNS, but so many summoners... Oh, Lehens.
He doesn't have flash. I think he's, yeah, the Q comes through, and eventually Lehens just goes down. So Duckdom says, I hope you're happy that you stopped my back, but I'm also going to send you back to the fountain. Dudu taking a bit of damage here, but he's not under any threats. So
we're seeing the struggles of the Nautilus, and Lehens, as I said, didn't go Ignite, didn't go Aftershock, didn't go those runes for early power, didn't find an early advantage, and now is just having a rough time. And the problem is, you're engaging onto a Sivir, and I guess he just thought Duckdom was in the shop, and Peter wasn't there. Because if Peter's not there, you can just kind of walk this off. But he was there. And then the Karma who just slows you, then roots you, it's pretty straightforward. So, Lockdown now pretty strong. Ahead in the matchup, which feels great. Yoshik obviously got that earlier kill. He's feeling great. He's actually going for the Bruiser build. Bruiser item first and foremost. I guess concerned about getting popped in these team fights. We've seen recently it's been Cyclo Sword into Bruiser. But he's just like, no, I want health immediately. There's a lot of threats. If I get feared or flipped or CC'd by Nocturne, I don't want to just get one shot in their combo. And especially if you're not getting one shot, you can survive for such a long time on the Fury. I think that makes sense. Oh no.
We got a Fury up on the top side. They're trying to go all in. As now maybe it's Pyosik who's in a bit of trouble. The stun does come through, but he's able to go up in the air. Now Closer is here, and Kingan's in a lot of trouble. And Scouts to follow, as he doesn't really have anywhere to go. He doesn't have a wall. Has his flash. And Sponge actually does come back here and helps out in the 2v2 and pushes them away.
Oh, that does just miss. But ultimately, successful play for DNS. They counteract the aggression from Nongshim. We saw this Talia Nocturne look so scary in terms of the side lane pressure it can apply, but they're just unable to... Don't get baited again, Lehens. Do not try and hook him under the tower, please. It looked like he wanted to. Yeah, so Nongshim have to commit a lot of resources for this. The Talia ult, the Nocturne ult, and they try and turn it onto the Neferi in their faces, but that means Sponge just kind of has to run out from turret, and he's disconnected. He's a little bit worried about walking through where he knows Closer is, and so he just takes a long route around. Yoshik's not healthy enough here, and Closer doesn't have enough damage left, also misses that Q, so they're not able to punish Scout. But the end result is a favorable play for DNS, and they're still ahead in gold.
Yeah, it's 1 kill by 1 kill by 1 kill, so adding up to 3.
Yes, 1 + 1 + 1 is 3. Thank you, Brendan.
Yeah, you know, I've been working on my math here, especially on cast.
What happens if you add an extra 1?
That would equal 4, I think. Not 100% confident.
We'll get that fact checked by production.
That's, yeah. Also, did you see Degon earlier saying 1, 2, 3? That was some really impressive counting from him as well. So I'm proud of all of us. For
you guys been camming recently? A little bit of after work math practice.
You know, where like Degon comes up to me, he's like, "Hey, you want to play Rift Bounds after the matches?" I'm like, he means we're gonna practice our counting, actually.
Yeah, of course.
That's why we're so good at it now. So shout out to Degon for all the classes. So 3 kills for DNS. I mean, they're feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
in the early game.
Strong early game, which is a pretty significant difference from game 2. But again, I feel like that comp has a lot of legs in the later stages of the game. We haven't seen a look towards Dragon yet. It's that Ocean first again, which I feel like definitely desirable. Increase your chances of a good soul, get that early sustain. But now the team got really the full control to go for it right now, especially because the paranoia is back up. And that has to be respected. Imagine if we had matchups in the top lane that weren't just, let's both rush plated steel caps first. Imagine how much more fun that would be.
I mean, we had it for a little bit. We had some interesting stuff in the top lane, but the second Doran's Helm became meta and tanks were able to survive in lane again, it disappeared. Our fun meta in the top lane is gone. Closer's extending this trade on the Scout, but not going to get a kill.
A lot of damage. Scout does have TP, but maybe they're hoping this pressure's enough to get them a Dragon. Sponge isn't on side of the map, but he's been a recall and has that paranoia, of course. And it looks like they're not going to fully commit yet. Just get some vision around mid. Yoshik's going to clear up his Raptors. And the Hexplay has been completed for Sponge on that Nocturne. So a lot more threat when he does ult in. Even though DNS have that slight lead, still feels very close right now. But I think the emphasis is more on Nongshim to make something happen and progress the state of the game a little bit. Oh, there's a Karma sneaking in there.
Yeah, Karma gank. Pyosik here too. This is a Renekton with Flash and Dominus available. And he's quite tanky. I just don't think they're able to do much, but yeah, that means that Nongshim are just going to go for the Dragon now.
They end up giving up enough pressure. Nongshim lean over towards the Dragon and are able to secure it pretty comfortably. So Pierce Dragon to them, which is a big positive. Do have Essence Fever coming in for Knockdown, so that one item spike completed. Does just give you the mana to kind of just spam the waves and not have too much concern. And it's Cloud Dragon second, so
Yeah.
we'll see what the soul ends up being later.
We had Hextech into Mountain, so maybe Infernal this time. Definitely not that other one.
Don't know what you're talking about. We'll see. Right now, things kind of slow down. There's still a lot of tools for making fights happen available to Nongshim, and you know Lehens is looking for angles where possible. Definitely someone who likes to force engages on the Nautilus. They've changed around the lane assignments right now due to into Scout, which doesn't feel too good for the Mini-Gnar. I imagine they will move him away and play for the Herald. That's up in 2.5 minutes.
We do have a lot of movement, actually, around the top side of the map. We got so many members of Nongshim here.
So this is interesting because they're keeping Dudu here. He does dodge away from that. Oh no, Peter.
Yeah, they're going to catch Peter in transition, and that is the karma that you can always engage on. And they throw a decent amount into him, a couple ults at least. Closer trying to keep them around with some damage here. Diablo just going to flash forward and looks for more as there's the hook coming in from Lehens as he's able to get some value out of that Nautilus.
This was so disconnected from DNS in this situation. King is trying to threaten Knockdown, but Knockdown's just going to play a distance. But yeah, it was so disconnected. I feel like they didn't really expect Peter just to get caught in rotation. They didn't expect Nongshim to be so aggressive. And I feel like the lane assignment wasn't really too positive. We have the Gnar into Tilly, which doesn't feel good. But also, Close is running up right now. Renekton had TP this whole time and holds it. Peter just face check. He just dies immediately. Closer does turn up eventually. But from full HP, he's the only person hitting here other than one, like the outwards boomerang blade from Knockdown. And then Lehens gets the hook and he just dies. This felt really off for DNS. And Nongshim are now at 1,000 gold lead off the back of that.
Yeah, it's a flip of almost 2K. And I do like Nongshim not letting this quiet down this game. You know, just going in, trying to make some plays. Kingan's got an angle here on a closer, but it is Aurora, so kind of hard to lock that one down. But yeah, you know, using your Nocturne around the map, he has Hexplate, try to get some paranoias in, try to make some plays. Even if it can be a little bit difficult into this composition, I think you have to look for angles to get yourself a lead into this Sivir.
Finally, DNS look to be switching up their lane assignment and putting the Gnar into the Renekton. Peter's in trouble.
He's taken quite a lot of damage, actually, just with Sponge. Because I don't know what he mantra'd there, but it wasn't.
I think he mantra shielded.
It wasn't the W.
Yeah, he should have mantra W. Whatever you're getting engaged on.
Maybe because Spell Shield was up, and he could just pop it with Q.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what he did. Is pop the Spell Shield with Q.
And then mantra shield.
Yeah, mantra W in those situations, it just gives so much healing. Definitely the play. He's now gone for the Celestial Opposition. A bit of extra tankiness when he gets engaged on. They now have the lane assignments I think they should have been going for a while ago with the 9 to Renekton and the Aurora back into the clear. But both those matchups are pretty down in terms of farm. Presumably because of the lane assignments I had.
Yeah.
So, not ideal. Nongshim going to move towards the Herald. And DNS looking for an angle to contest.
I mean, Piosha can always put his face in there as Nefiri and just threaten. But Nongshim have a pretty good spot here. We got double TP coming in, a Rift Herald fight.
This is a Gnar with no Gnar bar, by the way.
Yeah. And no lethal tempo, so he's not even really chunking as they pull it all the way out and they get the smite down. And now Kingan is in that back line, a huge amount of damage on that. The paranoia comes through. And now they're going to look for the engage straight onto the Karma. Everything thrown at Peter, the poor guy. This is not able to avoid all of that. The Combat Herald as well going to be immediately used as they look to charge into mid lane. Spun's going to take some damage, but this is still a big win over to the side of Nongshim.
And throughout that entire passage of play, Closer didn't get a single chance to ult, so a big aspect of the power of that champion not really getting utilized. Smite will stop the Herald from getting a second charge, but it's still a big winning play for Nongshim. Will they be able to set up for the Dragon, though? And have to reset and be a little late on that. But here, so Nongshim just get the Herald, sorry. King buys a lot of space in this situation. And the ult from Diablo ends up getting quite a lot of value. They go for this engage here. And I think the Darkness definitely didn't help for making decisions in this moment. But Peter kind of just walks up again to the Nautilus. Kyoshi goes in with no backup. Closer doesn't really get a win on the fight. Nongshim feels so much more coordinated and tighter in terms of their formation in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, they were set up very nicely on that objective, and it just felt like DNS were trying to force a fight. Now they're trying to go in on a King in here, who is a Renekton, doesn't have the Dominus quite yet. He's taking a ton of damage, but they can't quite kill him as Duckdom comes over, and finally, they get the Renekton.
They get the Renekton, but in return, you can see Dragon is picked up for Nongshim. They're going to get some plates mid, and maybe some plates bot as well.
Yep.
Diablo needs to be a little careful here, but I feel like when you're playing an AD carry with Bloodthirster first, you have a lot more bulkiness than you would expect. Looks like they're not going to get... They will get that one plate from the bot tower. But overall, I think Nongshim are fine with the trade. Like, Renekton goes down, but it's not that much of a big deal, considering the advantages they found elsewhere. It is going to be a Chemtex haul, though. So those two earlier dragons they invested in, you're feeling a little bit underwhelmed by the payoff.
Yeah. It's all right. You know, still going to try to stack that one up as fast as possible. And Nongshim, they've taken a couple of good fights. Well, they took one good fight and then one good map play, essentially, which is just let King die and get value elsewhere. And they've gotten a nice little lead at this point in time. This feels like Closer, you know, Closer had a great game of LeBlanc. I was very excited for what he could potentially pull off. And then he had that game of Annie, and all of a sudden, you know, now moving into Aurora, it's like, I just haven't seen Closer again in this series.
It's been a struggle.
Need him to be doing more in the mid game, especially before the Sivir is online.
Just really falling behind in terms of farm. I think the lane assignments were pretty bad, actually. Constantly putting the Aurora into Renekton and the Gnar into the Talia. They are fishing for something here.
I mean, they're going to chase them down. This is not really going to work, though, as now they're going to turn straight onto the Sivir. As a lot of heals and shields do go down onto Duckdom, keeps him alive.
Yeah, it was a weird setup for the play because they were going for the Hens, but he still has all summoners.
Kyoshik, awkward spot here. Not able to avoid the Nautilus. That is not a position an Afiri should be in. And he just dies.
You have a lot of tools as Neferi to avoid getting engaged on like that. And Kyoshik did not end up using any of them. 3,500 gold lead now for Nongshim. So really at a sizable advantage. And Hens is just trying to set up all these plays consistently. Feels like at this point, did we just see the best of DNS in game one? And then they've taken the foot off the gas since. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping they find a way back in this game, and there's still potential with their composition. But it just seems like a series of errors, back to back to back, have happened so far this game.
Yeah. Individual errors, but also, you know, some of the team fighting hasn't been the best. And maybe just going back to what Goong was talking about, where perhaps game one looked more like some of their scrim success. And then game 2 and 3 is more of what we've seen here at Chichizik Lal Park, which has been just, you know, uncharacteristic kind of mistakes here and there. Not really playing as a team. Well, they once again got a nice early lead. They got 3 individual kills. They just weren't really able to make anything out of it.
I think their approach to team fights has been a little bit off, which is interesting because that's something I praised them for in game one.
Yeah.
But especially against a Nocturne.
All right, we're going bot. This is mini Gnar for now, as the knockup not going to land.
Especially against a Nocturne, you can't afford to be spread out because when the ult gets popped, obviously one person is going to get focused down, but the darkness makes it so hard to coordinate when you're all split apart from each other. And I feel like especially when you have a Sivir Karma, you get a lot of value from being grouped together. But they just keep ending up in these split situations. Dudu's Mega Gnar times out as he jumps in.
Yeah, he also got stunned by the back part of the rocks, so just jumps in, doesn't do anything, and has to run away.
Closer eats a bunch of bullets there, unnecessarily from the bullet time. So these chunk, they will clear out the way, but another plate goes down. And it definitely feels like Nongshim are making DNS play to their tune right now. Just walking them around the map and forcing them to match them. It's 45 seconds till that third dragon, and Nongshim are taking the time now to reset and re-establish control over the area. I just want to see DNS have a strong team fight. Play together, play a bit more tight as a unit. Don't let the Nocturne split you apart. And right now, Dokdam, he is behind in gold compared to the Misfortune, but has the core items of the Essence Reaver and the Navori, so just pump damage if he gets the window too.
Yeah, definitely looking for an opportunity. You can tell, like, Dokdam is...
I don't think he's going to build the item.
Oh. Maybe hubris then?
Probably not.
Oh, I thought we were casting Aram Mayhem. Even there, I'm like, no, it's not a good idea. Dokdam, though, he's trying to control mid. At least he's able to push the wave very well as Sivir.
Burns his spell shield, so it makes it difficult for him to walk up for the next little while. Kingen is on a flank with full fury, and that was very early from Kyoshik.
Kyoshik's like, I can use this Mega Cone. What's going on mid?
What is the Sivir doing?
Yeah, I don't know. He's going the wrong way. And Diablo's like, well, I guess I'm just going to kill him. Looks like he...
Do you remember that thing I said about being tight as a unit and being a bit more together in team fights?
No, I wasn't listening.
Well, neither were DNS. Dokdam just ends up... I don't know. Maybe he saw a lion and a witch. Maybe he went through a wardrobe. He was in Narnia, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great reference. I don't even know. We need to see the replay. Okay, sometimes we don't highlight when the players have a rough time, but we need to see that one. Absolutely. As they're trying to get in here, as there's the engage, they're going to find the Nefiri, and Kyoshik eventually just tries to run away, tries to flash over the wall. Bit of damage into Diablo, who is left all by his lonesome on the backside of this fight. As now Dudu taking a bit of damage, but Magnar's coming up. I mean, maybe an angle for him as he goes into the Baron, and he's going to hop over the Baron, trying to create space for Closer, who picks up the kill. Sivir's here, and all of a sudden, Nongshim, they've been playing with their food, and it will come down to the smite, going the way of Sponge, but what about the team fight? Kingen, the last person with Baron left on the team. And, you know, a flash Q comes through. The root is there, and no hopes of a disengage cone. It is an ace for DNS.
Nongshim just overplay their hand when it comes to the... Okay, here... yes, this is what happened. Dokdam got flipped, went for the plate, and then he went dark, and he just ran through the enemy jungle. Well, he didn't see a lion, but he did see some wolves.
Go stand next to Karma.
Yeah, and then the dragon fight. So this is taking a long time. The MF not the most sustained damage. They look for Kyoshik, but they have to pull away from the Baron quite significantly to get him. And Diablo just gets jumped by Closer, taken out pretty quickly. Baron is still hitting people at 5k HP, and it just kind of gets a little bit crazy after this. Meganar gets hit, and then we see Dudu bounce away. He survives. Sivir turns up eventually, and I think that's the point Nongshim realized, oh no, this is really bad. We've overplayed our hand. At least they can get the Baron, but not get away. And we also see Dokdam ulting them to give them the speed from over the wall to chase down Kingen. A massive overplay of the hand from Nongshim there. I think we're on the Baron for a bit too long. Wasn't taking enough damage. Couldn't finish.
All right, what are we doing here? Kyoshik, he's going to get the red buff and die. And now we got Dokdam in a rough spot. He's going to go down and die. Nongshim get 2 kills just running through the enemy jungle.
It's like a game of catch. Honestly.
What are we doing?
It's just throws on throws on throws.
Is this even Rise Group, baby? It feels a little bit too raw for me. Maybe I'm just not acclimated. You know, I need to get back into the groove.
Well, sometimes you have to die for a big objective. Sometimes if it's Soul or Baron or Elder, you can see situations in which a jungler can die for those. Red buff, not so much. So Kyoshik getting caught out on a Fury, which isn't that easy to do, honestly, but a good punish from Nongshim. Dabble's 5-1 on the MF. He's pretty strong. They are up in gold. It's weird because we were kind of in this game state, roughly. I mean, they were a little bit further ahead, but we were in this kind of game state. And then they threw a Baron, and then this throw happened, and now they're back. It's just crazy that this sticks around. He saw them as well. He must have expected this was going to happen. And then knocked down Spell Shield super early, so the Nautilus actually just knocks him up, and he dies.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Can't spell shield everything, I guess. I mean...
Well, you should Spell Shield the Nautilus. That's a good one as well.
Yeah, that's one you want to save it.
But who is next to step up and die? Right now, Nongshim have control of the river. I mean, they don't really have control of the river because there's no wards there. They have control, but it's just kind of like they have control of the entire red side jungle. Is there anything they don't have control over? I guess DNS's base.
Yeah.
I just don't see how you're going to walk up in this situation. There's double control wards at those entrances. There's another one if you loop around through bot lane. There's no wards in the river because they don't even need them, because how are you getting to the river? And Pyosik is trying here. It looks like they're going to try go through bot and rotate round.
I like how Nongshim are just saying, okay, we're going to deny all the vision and wait for DNS to make a mistake. We don't want to have some weird kind of objective fight where we throw. We want to set this up and be careful because we're the better team and we can do this. We have control of the map right now. I think that's the way you should be playing this, honestly. I don't think we should have what happened on the Baron happen again. So that's the knockback on a Pyosik, but he is just going to hop over the wall, straighten a sponge, takes a bunch of damage, flashes away. And now we got another fight here on the right side. The wall is going to knock everybody into this one. Cloves are going to go down, and so will Duck Dom, because they were kind of separated from the rest of the squad. We got a TP coming in as the Dragon also going to go over to the side of Nongshim, who pick up the soul. Scout's got an angle here, gives a taxi for Pyosik to actually get away from Kingin. And now Scout is like, I can't let you actually get away from here, but he still will. As now Dudu's going to get away with the Mega Cone. And I'm losing my mind, but Nongshim still a fight win after all that.
Pentech Soul for Nongshim. Closer and Duckdown both die without using summoners. Dudu will teleport away, but this looks to be it. Even if the game does not end up this push, so much damage has been done. Such a huge goal lead for Nongshim. Double inhibitor towers taken down, Chemtech Soul secured. And DNS feels like the wind is no longer in their sails.
Yeah, I feel like after they lost that early game lead to a couple of silly mistakes, I mean, they got the game back again just because I feel like Nongshim gave them an opportunity on the Baron, but the second Nongshim kind of lock in.
I think we're kind of seeing a lot of the characteristics of these two teams. Nongshim making some big errors, but ultimately are the stronger team, are the more coordinated team. And DNS kind of just losing momentum. As the series goes on, as the mistakes rack up, it feels like they're just unable to maintain any sort of strict focus on how they're supposed to win the game. You want to see them play around the Sivir and play a coordinated team fight where they're enabling two of their stronger champions in the late game in that Sivir Karma. It's just not happening. They always end up split apart. People are getting picked off. The Nocturne is just a superpower against them. You turn off the lights and they start panicking.
It's so true, actually. Maybe Nocturne's the answer in Rice Group. Just turn off the lights and everybody just loses their minds. Sponge is 3 levels over Pyosik at this point.
Yeah. And he has a GA now, so he can just fly in pretty recklessly. Scout here has Rabadon's completed. Closer not yet to finish his. Diablo with 4 items and a crit cloak. Baron's up and available. They're pushing up mid, and Kingan's on a flank.
They're going to get corralled here big time. The spell shield is down, and everything is thrown into them. Scout able to get in, and he does so much damage at this point, even on Talia. And that's going to do it. Nongshim find the fight. Nice little angle there from Kingan. And all they got to do is push in this mid wave and take it down for the 2-1 victory.
Absolute decimation in this game. Nongshim able to just explode them in these last few fights. Closer again doesn't get a chance to flash. And it just feels like DNS with a strong game 1 to end their game losing streak. But it kind of felt like the momentum just started to fade after that game 2. And Nongshim will put an end to their 10 series loss streak and push DNS to a 16 series loss streak on the back of that. a big morale boost that this team really needed.
Yeah, they get across the line. I'm sure that Nongshim are not going to be happy with losing the first game, but at least they're able to lock in and say, okay, we're the better team. We can handle this. And they do. So it would have been much worse if they lost the series. I'm sure there's still a lot to discuss, and they're able to stop the loss streak, as you mentioned. So definitely some nice wins for Nongshim. For DNS, they also get a win in the game, and that's something. But they're still lacking the series, and I think we got to see it. This is why we play best of threes. And Kane looking pretty happy. Had a great Renekton performance there in that game number 3.
Yep, and I think this is kind of an outcome where Nongshim, still with some issues, but they managed to get the series win. I think they'll still be focused on the last match, which is up against D+. A much more difficult opponent, but hopefully can take some lessons away from this and look to round out the end of this portion of the LCK with another win. But a nice moment to end their losing streak. Given they managed to get a game against KT and HLE, this really was quite expected for DNS. You know, they'll take the game, but this may well have been their last chance to get a series. KT, I mean, it's KT, so you never really know, but also a much harder opponent than they faced here, and I think they may struggle there as well if they weren't able to take down Nongshim.
Lens, as he always does, goes out to the very center, and then from there bows to every fan on his side of the arena. And, you know, Lehen's going through his own struggles, getting subbed out a couple of times, but he's here today for the win against DNS. And he looked pretty solid. I feel like his Nautilus got what it had to do done in this game.
It was a bit of a slow start, but he started to find the angles later on. I just think, other than that big throw at Baron from Nongshim, for the most part, they were just so much more coordinated in these team fights. And DNS felt like they kind of returned to that scattered sort of setup they typically have. You got to remember that in this situation, even though it goes in the favor of DNS, it's an extended play around Baron. A lot of mistakes are made by Nongshim. But it came from a very weird play from Dokdam when he ended up in the enemy jungle for some reason. This was capitalization from an overplay of Nongshim's hand, but it felt like there was a lot of mistakes from DNS, a lot of errors that Nongshim were just happy to clean up from.
This was a weird
set of
game.
circumstances. Yeah.
근데 천천히 보고 싶다. 이거 메가도 빠져서
내가 빠지는 턴에
And this is that final moment. Kyoshik's super split from the rest of the team. And Kingen finds his great flank angle. They pop their ultimates. Kyoshik is miles away when this starts. He ults on a actually scout to follow him in, but the fight's already over by that point. The bot lane got obliterated.
Yeah.
미드 가자 끝났다.
Let's go mid. It's over, he says. Not a lot of celebration in terms of the comms. The game hadn't ended at that point just yet. I mean, technically it was over. Scout doing a lot of damage on the Taliyah, actually. You don't see Taliyah doing huge numbers, but got ahead and was able to do a pretty good job there. Pretty unfortunate that DNS couldn't show kind of more of what we saw in game number 1 in the rest of the series, but it is what it is. They'll have to try in the next series up against D+ Kia from match 90, as Scout is going to be the player of the match this time around.
Yeah, I think the Rise performance was honestly what sold it for me. He dominated that matchup. He was so far ahead of Closer. It just really warped the game. The Annie was like an item and a half, and he had 3 full items with Actualizer. Was a bit of a mid-gap in that one, and I think his Taliyah was solid too. He was the one who found the little flip onto Dokdam that sent him into his jungle for some reason. I think Scout's been looking solid in a lot of their games, despite the record of the team in these previous matches. I think he's kind of found his footing, and when they do end up in the Rise group after Road to MSI, I think he will be a force to be reckoned with that teams will have to deal with.
Yeah, not an easy opponent for everyone. As guys, we do have the POM interview now. I'll hand it over to Deer for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation. We're here joined by Scout on the side of Nongshim Red Force. Against DN Supers today, I'm sure you were eager to win. How do you feel? Yeah, in the end, I'm just really relieved that we're able to win, and it makes me very happy. And with the extended losing streak, I'm sure that it took a toll on the team atmosphere. And I'm sure you have gone a lot as players. So, what was your mindset today? You know, we were always focused on practicing, and we had continued practicing as we normally do. And we just really tried to improve our own form. So, I think we were just doing really the usual. In game 1, DN Supers striked hard. After that tough loss, what was the feedback like? I don't think there was too much in-depth feedback, but I think it's just that these sort of mistakes are something that we always see. So we went over it very briefly, quickly, and we went over and to focus on the next upcoming game. But game 2 was a completely different story from game 1, and you guys were able to close it out in just 24 minutes. So what improvements led to such a dominant victory? I think it's because we played the early game so well. Yeah, and in game 3, it looked like you focused a lot on the jungle side. Nongshim banned Vi and Trundle and took Nocturne first, then you took Talia last, Scout. So what was the read on the draft? As for the first pick, there wasn't really much of a good pick, so I think we just wanted to create a good sort of a setup for us to take the advantage in the end. And in the mid game, everything was going well until you got Baron stolen, but you guys took the 4th Drake with ease afterwards. So let's take a look at this replay. This was a great team fight, so can you walk us through what happened? You know, we had the edge in terms of the vision here, and so I think we just made sure that the enemy can't really come out from the bottom. Wow, it was a great positioning from you guys. And actually, last week we saw your players, your client. Actually, you changed from the Korean client to the Chinese client. So what was the reason behind that? Actually, the maybe 4 matches ago, one of the players actually requested for a pause, and actually in the Chinese client, if you do /s, it actually pauses instantly. So I just really want to save that 0.1 second. Just, you know, I think it really does make that difference, even if it actually increases our odds by a little bit. So I think that's why. And so you guys were able to take that sweet victory. And for the last match of round 2, you are going to be against D plus Kia. So what is your mindset? I think we still have a long way to go to improve our own forms individually. And once we are able to reach that point, I'm sure that we will be able to pull off a victory. And I'm sure that your victory has made a lot of your fans very happy. So any message to your fans? For all of you guys who keep supporting us, thank you so much. And I hope that I can repay all your support by winning the next upcoming match. And that's all from Scout, and back to the space.